Welcome back, Kings and Queens, to another Market Open Live. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching. We're going to be going over a little bit today. And there's the bell. Alright, so we got plenty of news to go over, but first thing we're going to go over is just check in with how the market's looking. CPI report has come in. It's definitely not as bad as people thought it was going to be. So, seems the general sentiment is that we should be going a little bit more positive. We already got Starbucks looking really good compared to yesterday, up with a couple of bucks. Verizon's still pretty sideways. UEC about the same. Now the QQQ, that's the one. Let me zoom in on that. That's the one that actually did a good jump when the CPI news came out. I might be a little too zoomed in now. So if you look at the QQQ from yesterday at closing, so I'm sure it was people who were worried about some bad news. It was at 317, and now at open we're at 324. So we're a minute into market open. We're at 324.93 on QQQ. Oh, excuse me. Workhorse is coming back up a little bit. I did lose a little bit on there. You can see down here what my positions are. Starbucks, UEC, Verizon, and Workhorse in this account. And that's that. Let's look over here. Overall, this is what I'm holding in various accounts. And we're looking pretty good. Now, UEC, let's look in UEC right now. Is there any news that just came out? 22 hours ago, CEO criticizes new Denison acquisition proposal for UEX. Okay. Alright, I'm not going to read that. Let's look at the general markets. Computers and household is up first, and semiconductors. It's kind of not surprising. There's 5G rolling out. Some of the chip companies are saying has some interesting news, or could be shortages again. We don't know, but as a whole, there has been better. What's the word I'm looking for? Shipping, distribution. Yes, there we go. So yeah, it's just good to see green, to be honest. I mean, last week we were very uncertain, and now there's a lot more certainty in the market. At least that's how I feel personally. So, I know there's a couple on here that I haven't drawn my lines for yet. Let me see where we're at. Well, we'll just give a quick overlook in general and see what we're looking at. So, I'm down 64 cents right now on Starbucks. We were up the other day, which I was debating on selling. I didn't, obviously, but that's okay. It's a swing trade, and we're a lot closer than we were, which I was at $76 before, which was just absolutely nuts. And let's see, UEC, I don't think I have my orders in anymore. Nope, no orders in. Yeah, we had that dip. That cross happened overnight. Plenty of volume supporting that drop. Went way low in the RSI. But, we're still not near my other lines. We're still in the middle. We're still floating way in the middle. I think I might want to draw another line. Let me actually back out a little bit. Let's see, 30 minutes. Do we have another line to draw there? Maybe at about 4:06. Let's see. Let's go back an hour. 4:06. Do we have a line at 4:06? I'm gonna draw I won't say a soft line, but I'm gonna draw a line at 4:06. I'm not gonna pull it back as far back as we were before. But let's see if there is anything there. 4:06 back there, sort of, kind of holds. Let me see, right about there. So about 4:05, 4:06. Yeah, let me draw a line there. And I haven't drawn any new lines on this since I started drawing these lines. So pretty happy with how they've been so far. Because I also don't want to keep drawing too many tight lines up in here, but we are within this range, and we have been for a little while. Let me see. Yeah, so I'll draw a couple. Yeah, okay. Alright, so I'm going to zoom back into the hour. We're going to draw a line right there, 405. 406. Yeah, we'll do 406. We'll just pull it out for like a couple days or a few days. Oop, that line is not straight. Alright. 406. Bring it out to there. A straight line. Oh, it's so hard to get that. There we go. Okay. And then I could do one up here for resistance too. Because it did look like there was a little one for resistance. But I don't like necessarily judging resistance just because it's hitting a certain spot. I like seeing resistance as a turn to support. But that's my own personal opinion. I think I am, you know what, to keep an open mind, I am going to draw something right here. We'll say at 426. By the way, anything I do on here is not financial advice. Definitely talk to a professional, do your own research, all that fun stuff. I'm relearning TA, and I also am getting back into reading fundamentals now that I can think completely properly again. So we're actually going to use that as a segue into what news is going on. Oh wait, just kidding. We're going to go over the crypto first. So, crypto. First thing in crypto to look at is Bitcoin is at $23,000. There we go. That should be a little bit bigger now. Alright, so Bitcoin's at $23,000. We got Ethereum at 17,500, or sorry, 1,756. Now, again, I said this before, it's showing $95 for USDC and for USDT. Now, if you actually do try to get it for 95 cents, did I say $95? If you try to get it for 95 cents, you won't unless you're on like a decentralized exchange and you're moving tons and tons of money. You won't see that discrepancy. The exchanges, especially the centralized, will still charge you the full dollar for that conversion rate. BNB is still holding pretty strong over 300. We're down a little bit from 326 where we saw it before. Same thing with the Binance BUSD, Binance USD. You're going to get it for $1. XRP back down to $36, which has been floating around there. Same thing with Cardano, holding around $50. I really need to get my words right. 36 cents for XRP, 50 cents, 51 cents for Cardano, $9 for Polkadot, so that's still holding over the $8 mark, which is what we were seeing it float at for a good while. So overall, let's just get to the top 20, OKB. Now Wrap BTC, I'm going to bring that up in just a second. That is an interesting point. Polygon or Matic, they're at 89 cents, so they actually had a little bit of a pullback. Not too much, they're just under 90 cents, which is where they were over. Everything else in the top 20 is more or less green. DAI is kind of the same thing when it comes to USD. It's another conversion type, if that makes sense. It's comparable to the dollar. Okay, so on whale stats. Now, this is something that I thought was pretty interesting. Now, it went from fear last week to now we're in greed. We have more buyers than sellers in not only in the sellers, but in the volume also. And then also total traded tokens. I can't remember exactly. We can look at one of my last videos and see. But the total traded tokens, the top one, I believe was DOGE, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say it was DOGE. I'll have to look back. The most widely held was Mana, and then the biggest in position dollar amount, I believe, was SHIB. I'll go back and look to see which one was which, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So you can see that more people are starting to trade different coins now. And this is another good point to bring up. USDC, USDT, which again are more stable coins or are stable coins, those are the highest held by whales in this chart, excluding ETH. What that means to me, looking at this, is that people are getting into cash or stable coins to possibly buy other opportunities. So we'll see what that means going forward in actuality, but I thought that was pretty interesting when I saw that pop up. All right, now we'll get into the news. So first thing we'll start off with will be Tesla doing their split. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but Tesla is doing a 3-to-1 split. So, you know, there's that. And here it is here where they talk about it a little bit. They were talking about how much do us, like retail traders, impact, or retail stockholders impact the share price, or the just, you know, shares in general of any given companies. And Tesla gets impacted about 45%. So 46% of shares available for trading are held by non-institutional investors. And then it compares it to things like Alphabet, which was around like 15%. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. Since they're doing the split, I wanted to at least bring it up. But that's, you know, pretty much it there. Now, gold, there are a few stocks that have been doing better slowly, and they're down from their highs still pretty significantly. So EQX, I'm not going to go over these too much. I'm just kind of going to briefly say what the dialogue was saying in here. But they were talking about the price to earnings, because the reports just came out, and then the EPS is also. So they were all within a range that looks a little bit appealing. As far as they're coming back. If you look at the RSI down here, when we had that dip back in May, and then recovery in June, they're showing that in the RSI it's under the 30 mark. And then here, where we did have that pullback from June to July, and we're starting to recover again in August, you can see we're above that 30 mark. Same thing with the MACD. That cross that happened right here is still way low, or higher than it was back in May, June. So the recoveries are looking stronger also. EGLD, Royal Gold, they're saying basically the same thing. Here are some of the numbers up here. But same thing as far as the charts are concerned. They're seeing that the numbers might look weaker, but the sentiment as far as what people are actually doing is starting to show more encouraging signs. Siboney, I don't know how to say that, Stillwater. So that's an African-based gold mining company, and same thing. So I'm gonna stop it there. I think there's one more. Yeah, Yamana. I always say Yamaha, but AUY. That's actually one of the first gold or mining stocks related that I even started looking into before. But same thing, they're showing strength. They look more like they're stagnant with their messaging than the other ones, but still we're higher than we were in May when everyone's pullback started to happen. I thought this was interesting just because I do have a couple of airline stocks myself, but just out of curiosity, wanted to read through this. Oh, I guess this is where we really want to be. This is the expanded article. There we go. Okay. So they're basically saying in here, again, talking about the EPS, and I'm gonna go a little bit into this just so that we have a little bit of footnotes to go with us. But Spirit Airlines stock is consolidating. It's at 24 right now, so they're still under the 200-day and or I guess found support at the 50-day and the 200-day. The other ones down here, I believe, are under. And then it started talking about composite rating, EPS, and a few other things. So I'm going to go into those real quick, but I'll say what this says first. Spirit Airlines stock has a 71 composite rating and a 50 EPS rating. IBD generally recommends investors focus on stocks that have stronger ratings and that are closer together to their highs. So these numbers are both based off of 99. Let me pull up that page now so we can see what we're really reading here. So this is going to be a little aside, and maybe I'll post this also. But let's get this position to where it looks, where you can actually see it. Okay, there we go. So EPS, exclusive ratings found in Investors Business Daily Smart Select corporate ratings. Stocks are rated on a 1 to 99 scale, comparing 99 being the best. Comparing a company's earnings per share growth on both a current and annual basis with all other publicly traded companies in the William O'Neill & Co. database. Stocks with EPS ratings of 80 or above have outperformed 80% of all publicly traded companies in earnings. The EPS ratings combines each company's most recent 2 quarters of earnings per share growth with its 3 to 5 year annual growth ratings. So this is good to know as you read articles like we were just reading, because it's obviously going to give you a little bit of more information. So now that we read that, we see that it's beating 71% of those in its area and an EPS of 50, of 50. So then that makes you want to ask, well, what's EPS? And we also read that in the definition of. Oh, I just read EPS. I thought I was reading Composite. Anyway, that was EPS. So, let me go back and say that again then. So they were showing a EPS of 50, which means they're beating out 50% of their market. So they're halfway through, or halfway of. They're at the halfway point. They're in the 50% of the market. So the composite rating. The IBD Select Composite rating combines all 5 select ratings into one easy-to-use rating. So it doesn't talk about all 5 in here, but more weight is placed on the EPS and the RS rating, and the stock's percent off its 52-week high is also included in the formula. Results then compared to all other companies, and each company is assigned a rating of 1 to 99, 99 being the best. A 90 rating means that the stock is outperforming 90% of all stocks in terms of its combined Smart Select ratings. So, and the RS rating I also have pulled up in a tab here. But the RS is a corporate rating that measures the stock's price performance over the last 12 months compared to all stocks in our database. So 99 being the highest. So going back to composite rating. And then let's get back to our chart or news. So the 71 composite rating, and then let's see what the 71 correlates to. I believe it was percentage. So 71 composite rating, more weighted with EPS, and with a 99. Yep. So it's not doing 99. Results are compared to other companies each. Yeah. So it's beating out 71% of the other competitors in its market based on the other 5 the 5 indicators that you use to get the composite rating, which EPS is one of those indicators, and so is the RS, and a few other things as well. But we can see right now that as far as Spirit Airlines is concerned, they're doing okay, but they're not doing great. They're also agreed to merge with JetBlue after a deal fell through with Frontier Airlines. So I thought that was pretty interesting too. So Delta is below the 50-day line. They're testing the 200-day line. They're testing the 50-day line. The EPS, let me read this the same way as I read the other one. So the composite rating is 31%, which means they're only beating 31% of their competitors based on those ratings, with an EPS of 67%. So the EPS is pretty decent, but the composite rating is not great for what we'd actually be looking for. And the same thing even with American Airlines, which is who I usually fly. They're below on their 50 and their 200-day. And their composite rating is only 23 with an EPS of 64. So airlines don't look like they're doing great, but at the same time, they sound like they're encouraged because people are going to be, I forget what words they used, but they're going to be wanting to quench their thirst, I think is what they say, of flying, because they haven't been able to really use planes last couple of years because of all the restrictions that have been going on. So with that being said, I need a sip of coffee. Let's check in the charts real quick, see if anything crazy has happened. All right, nothing too dramatic has happened. Everything is looking more or less stable. Looks like automobiles is now in the head, and diversified retail for the markets on Webull, which is kind of interesting. Everything that I have in my watch list, which is everything that's in my portfolio, is now green on the day, which is cool. Okay, let's get back to the news. So Hungarian refinery pays Russia's transit fee to restart oil flows. So I'm going to summarize this real quick. MOL, near it, which is an acronym for whatever the company's actual name is, but they're paying Russia to be able to turn back the pipeline that would bring energy into other areas outside of Europe. I believe, okay, yeah, Central Europe, there it is. Or sorry, I meant out of Russia. So the pipeline is getting turned back on in Central Europe. Basically when they paid it, so it sounds like the Ukraine or whomever did actually pay to turn the pipeline back on, but because of the banking that's going on right now and the restricted payments and just whatever the word they used in here, the sanctions, European sanctions and regulations, it didn't actually go through. So the money was kicked back to them. So they had to basically go to authorities, go around all this stuff, and then pay it through other means, another company. So they're getting their power turned back on, which is good news. That's as of 3:50 a.m. So we'll see if this actually happens and what comes of this. I thought this was interesting. This is something that me and my friend have been talking about lately. So BRICS, which is we'll say a group of countries that aren't in the UE, I guess you could say, or are at least trying to break themselves away from the. I really need to get my acronyms better, but basically, United States, we're partnered with a bunch of companies, and we have the US dollar as a reserve currency, and right now that pretty much is a reserve currency everywhere. But BRICS is wanting to create and has wanted to create their own reserve currency for a good while. They've been starting in the mid-2000s, just since the mid-2000s. And basically, this most recent report is saying that I believe it's India that's jumping on board, who wants to join BRICS potentially. But they're saying that everywhere in the world is unstable, that they want to be able to, that they're being excluded from things just because of anti-Russian people, which probably is very true. And from the news, it sounds like it's very true. And they all around just want to get more in control of what's going on with their own economy. So when it comes to reading this, the guy who was speaking, Medvedev, it sounded like he was more bitter than anything else, and very, I won't say necessarily bitter. He was very forthgoing with what he wants for Russia, because this is going to fully support Russia, China, and the other few countries that are aligned with them. But they're basically saying that they're just getting excluded from things. They don't want to be excluded anymore. They feel that they can support, or they can come up with a better way to have a reserve currency, and they're going to use that instead. They want to bring power back into their own lands. They want to bring a bunch. They want to get their geographical position capabilities really to shine effectively. So, we'll see how that turns out. I think, and this is one of those things that as I was reading this, what I was picturing in my head is like more or less from like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where we're starting to see countries like being fully divided, or regions being fully divided, to where this region will only deal with these countries, this region's only going to deal with this country, and then this region down here is only going to deal with this country. So things are getting pretty interesting, to say the least. Alright, let's get into crypto. So I haven't been keeping up with Tornado Cash, but basically there's Tornado Cash. Now you can't do any transactions, and it's illegal to even transact with Tornado Cash. Let me see if this is what they're saying in here. Okay, I might be mixing up two articles, but more or less, don't touch Tornado Cash if you're in the US. this goes into a little bit more. So Coinbase, oh wait, no, that wasn't that. All right, I guess I was reading an article somewhere else, but basically somebody is actually sending transactions, or there are people who are actually sending transactions through Tornado Cash to celebrities and higher names, bigger names accounts where people know their name publicly, to try and basically get them convicted or get them being affiliated with Tornado Cash, because like I said, it's now illegal to transact. But the thing is you can't stop a transaction coming in. There's no way, like if someone has your address and they sent you something, it's going to end up in that wallet. So when they're doing this and they're picking on these, Armstrong from Coinbase was one of the people. He can't be like, he can't just set up something saying I blocked this address to send me anything. That Tornado Cash account can send it. So it kind of is what it is, but they're doing their best to just not touch it, is what it sounds like. So Cathie Woods, this is what I wanted to talk about more or less when it came to Coinbase. So Coinbase right now is down 10%. And they are getting looked at, I guess, from the SEC for having some securities on their account. But the big thing that Cathie Woods, it sounds like, so with insider trading, so it sounds like the biggest reason that Cathie Woods initially dropped all of her shares, or not all of them, but dropped those shares, was because of the determination. The SEC's determination was disclosed insider trading brought against these individuals. And now it says somewhere in here she didn't get rid of all of them. It sounds like she still has quite a bit left. But that was the main reason. So I want to bring that up. I thought that was pretty interesting. Now Coinbase's news isn't really going the greatest, but at the same time, it was pretty interesting to see that she is still holding some. Do I have the same article brought up? No, I don't. Okay, yeah. They did have a net loss over Q2. That was the main point of this article, was they're showing a loss, but they're still feeling optimistic. A lot of that loss is because of Bitcoin plummeting. So Cathie Woods claims that the handful of day priors to the regulatory uncertainty for crypto industry. Here we go. Okay, so ARK Investing sold over 1.4 million shares in Coinbase worth $75 million. According to the fund's website, Woods' company still holds over 451 million worth of shares in the company. So they still hold a significant portion in coin. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But the main reason, like I was saying before, is that she was just feeling, I guess, a little uneasy. And at the same time, this goes into saying that Shopify had fallen and seemed like favorable alternative amidst the confusion with Coinbase and the regulations and everything. So she was it sounds like she was more or less trying to offset some potential losses with Coinbase. You can never know what's going to happen after you sell. Wasn't the best timing, but hey, maybe Shopify has gone up more. Who knows? We can find that out, but not going to right now. Coinbase miner Marathon increased the Bitcoin holdings amidst the quarterly losses. So this is basically saying that overall in the past year, they're still been growing their Bitcoin holdings. It sounds like not many miners, or they're one of the miners that haven't sold with everything that's been going on. So they're holding a bunch of their Bitcoin still. So they produced 2,038 Bitcoin year to date, which was a 58% increase over the same period. So even though, in Q2, they only mined 707 Bitcoin compared to Q1, which they did almost 1,300 Bitcoin. Overall, they're still showing 58% increase year over year. And like I said, they're holding a lot of their Bitcoin too, whereas other miners have been selling off. And of course, the stock being down so much, where is it? I know it says it in here. But the stock being down, 1443 right now. Even though that's such a significant loss against they're saying it's because of Bitcoin falling more than anything. So Australian-based crypto miners doubles hash rating after Energy Canadian rigs. So this is basically talking about how, where is it? I know the ticker's in here somewhere. IREN. They were able to double their hash because now they're not paying as much, it sounds like, or they're getting some subsidies from their clean energy that they're using, which I believe was wind power that is in Canada. So yeah, just another crypto stock that I thought was pretty interesting. Bitcoin miner Riot blockchain delays earnings report to sort out how much crypto route devalued its assets. So this is something to pay attention to if you are holding Riot right now. Mara, Cypher, Clean Spark, they've all given their report so far, but Riot came out on the 9th and said that they were going to be pushing it back, basically, or they came out on the 3rd. I forget exactly when it was. But they said that they were coming back and saying, hey, we need a little bit more time. We want to see how much these losses have really devalued our assets. I think it could be a little bit uncertainty just because of everything that's going on with the crypto market. And also, I do live in Texas, so I know that right now the grid is having a little bit of a struggle because of all the AC units and all that stuff. So I think that could have an effect on it too. It does talk about the power and all that stuff. What else we got here? I did not read that, but there you go. Now, Dogecoin has more potential applications than Cardano, says Mark Cuban. I'm not going to read through the article, but basically what he says is that there's not a lot of transactions going on Cardano. He could see that Cardano could be a front runner going forward because it's primed to go, but there's nothing there. But he's saying that if anyone decides to build on Doge, that there's more transactions happening and it's a better opportunity. I don't know if I agree with that, but Mark Cuban is a big name, so sometimes people listen to him. So I don't think this means that people are going to go and build on Cardano or go and go and build on Doge or sell all of their Cardano. I do think it means that it might inspire people to build on Cardano because, hey, maybe it lets people know that it is a little bit more ready than people think. So we'll see what happens from there, but that's what we got on the news today. Let's look back at the charts really quick. But let me know what you think of all of that. Are you buying Tesla with this news? Are you going to be going and selling your Riot? By the way, again, none of this is financial advice. But let me know in the comments below what you think your moves might be. Or are you just holding everything right now? Looks like things are still looking pretty darn stable. We got SLV is up a bit also. All right, let's look at our others. So overall, we got... And I know which ones I'm positive. I know Vanguard I'm up. I know Love I'm up only a few dollars per share. American Airlines, I think I'm about maybe $3 per share up. Workhorse I'm down. Verizon I'm down, but only by like $1. Maybe only by 50 cents. Riot, I am down by a lot. I do want to get some more Riot in my Roth IRA if they start to show definitely better news. But I do want more mining companies in general in my Roth. And UEC, I know I'm up, definitely for sure. Let's look at the overall markets. Alright. So we got Toyota Motors is leading right now, followed by Tesla, then Ford, then GM, Stellantis. Let's actually look at Toyota real quick. I have a Toyota myself, I like Toyotas. Alright. So let's see. Any news? It says no change to plan to produce 9.7 million vehicles globally this year. All right. So nothing too crazy on the news in the last couple of days. ETS for driverless cars. I mean, driverless cars is pretty interesting, but Tesla's still running over kids in their tests, so that's not good. Let's back out on this, see what it looks like. It's not looking too bad overall. Let's see. I mean, even that 2021 dip isn't terrible. This is, okay, so Toyota's looking pretty darn good. But, that's just me looking at it just to look at it. Let's see what else is up. QQQ came down under 324. We are now about a half hour into the market open. All right, we're not looking bad. Not looking bad at all. All right, by the way, this is Think or Swim. I do like their videos that they have here. I do listen to them every so often, and this is Weeble. If you want to use those, there are links in the description below, along with a couple of other things also. Let's see. I feel like I had something else pulled up. Oh, there we go. Yes, the Consumer Price Index Summary. How am I going to forget that? Okay, so this is pretty important. Now, if you haven't read or haven't heard the CPI information coming out yet, I'll go over it real quick. Maybe I'll even put this in a separate video if you can actually hear my voice, because I have to like yell to make this microphone hear it. I wonder if this will help. Sorry for bringing the microphone. Oh, this is so bad for camera. Boom. Okay. Maybe that just uncovered the microphone a little bit better. The world may never know. Okay. So, Consumer Price Index Summary. Basically, this is the type of inflation, or this is what we use, or what they use, what a lot of people use. The Consumer Price Index is what a lot of people use to figure out what the inflation is that we actually feel as consumers, so normal people, not what they feel as far as the big companies building the stuff that we use. So overall, what this is saying is that over the last 12 months, we felt 8.5% of CPI. Now that is a lot. That's a pretty decent amount of inflation, and this number has been changing throughout the last couple of years. There were estimates when it was 11, 13. I mean, it's been all over the place, really. But basically, we'll go through everything that has changed a bit. This is right here is a top quick summary. So it was more or less unchanged. 1.3 is about the average, is what it's saying over here for the last, or since the last report. So here's a little snapshot of what everything looks like as far as in comparison from earlier this year to now. And then they summarize it pretty darn well down here. So I'm going to go through this real quick, but this is going to be up on the screen so that you can read it. If I'm not reading loud enough, just put it on mute, read yourself, whatever you need to do. But for the food index increased 1.1% in July. This was the 7th consecutive month increase of 0.9% or more. The food at home index rose 1.3% in July, as all 6 major grocery stores' food group indexes increased. The index for non-alcohol beverages rose the most, increasing 2.3%. After the index of coffee, which rose 3.5%. So coffee is what we have felt the most, which I drink a lot of coffee, and I have definitely noticed that the coffee prices have been going up. And I won't say that I've noticed it with Starbucks, but some of the other restaurants that I go to, I've seen the prices rise, and when I go to buy my coffee in the store, I've noticed it there as well. So other food at home index has rose 1.8%. And cereal and bakery, dairy related, set 1.7%, and then everything else the index for meats, poultry, fish, 0.5% decline from June, and increase of 0.5% on fruits and vegetables for the month. Or sorry, July is what I meant to say for the last one, but for June, for the month for the last one also, or for vegetables and fruits. So, as you're reading forward, this is basically just telling us what has happened over the last 12 months and all that other fun stuff, since the last CPI report. So the food at home index rose 13.1% over the last 12 months, where the food index has increased 1.1% since July, and again, which is consecutive with the increase of 0.9% or more. I wanted to make sure I said that right. So this is the largest increase since 1979, but as we go down, it is showing that it's coming down since July. Let me go back up to show the chart. That shows it a little bit more clear. So we have July right here. So food at home, if you look right here, food at home we're at 1.3%. Oh, let me rephrase that. So food at home is was showing that it has gone up. It was the food away from home. That is, am I reading this right? Yeah, there we go. 0.7% off of the 0.9%. So where everything was going up month after month for the last few months, now we're starting to see it coming down again. So you can see it was going down a little bit here, but shooting up, and we're starting to see the same thing again. So hopefully this will start coming down, or keep coming down. But what we really want to see is food at home coming down also. I think, and I want to say it says something down here about that. The index for food away from home rose 7.6% over the last year. The index for full service meals rose 8.9% over the last 12 months. The index for limited service meals rose 7.9%. Okay, so food, it looks like it's just saying it's still going up. Maybe it was energy that I'm confusing it with that's looking better. So the energy index fell 4.6% in July after rising 7.5% in June. So if you think about that for a second, we were up 7.5% in June. Now we're down 4.6%. So we're still up overall, but we're down as of the last time. So if we go and look at that in the chart really quick, you can see we were up 4.6 in June. Okay, yeah, there we go. So we were up 10.4 in June actually, down 7.6 now. So they were talking about the report from May. So the energy is starting to go in the right direction. The energy rose 32.9% in the last 12 months. Gasoline index increased 44% in the span of the last index and rose 75.6%. The index for electricity rose 15.2% in the last 12 months. So yeah, they're going into that electricity now. Does it say anything about electricity up here? No, it does not. Okay, let's look at the chart. So electricity, when we're looking at electricity services, we were up 3.5% in June. We are now at 0.1% increase. So that is a significant decrease from what we were in June. So we're still up overall, but it is coming down. So this is basically why I was thinking in my head when I was tying it to food. Because as I read these things, I try to think how to connect it. So all time less food and energy, or all items less food and energy is what is down below here. And I'll go up to the chart to read that because it does get very wordy under here. But as I was reading the energy costs, I was thinking to myself, at least people are going to be able to afford their energy a little bit easier, so they'll be able to afford their food. Because even when I went into the store to get bread yesterday, the markup on it was just insane compared to what I remember seeing it. So the other things would be some things like new vehicles. So in June we were at 0.6% increase. Now we're at 0.7% increase. Now we're at 0.6% increase. So the new vehicle prices are starting to come down. Used car and trucks, that's where it's a much more significant decrease in the prices. We are at 1.6 in June. We are negative 0.4 in July's reading. So that means that we're actually seeing the prices coming down in used car prices, which I am noticing as I'm even looking myself. I like to keep my nose to the ground or ear to the ground on things like that too. I do like to buy and sell things, and I have noticed that the used car, used motorcycle, trucks, even buses, the prices are coming down, RVs as well. Apparel also, we were up 0.8% in June, we're down 0.1%. So you can see that a lot of things are starting to go in a direction where we're going to be able to afford things a little bit more in the near future, hopefully. So as long as we keep going in this direction, hopefully we're going to be going towards what they were saying when the FOMC met before, which was that we're getting towards a 2.5% inflation overall. So this is a cleaner way of looking at the chart also, or looking at the numbers also if you want to look at it. So there you go. But that's the CPI. That's the general report that came out for today. It is August 10th of 2022. I hope you like that and watch some more of my videos. Here's a clip to some of my shorts that are out there, and thank you for watching. Alright, so that just was turned into one of my short videos. I'm going to close this live video out now. We're going to do this a little bit differently. So let me get this out of the way. We'll go back to the charts, see what's going on there for a hot second. Make sure everything looks pretty good. I am going to start looking at the charts before the market close also, because I have noticed that some of these charts are showing good sell opportunities, where I can sell it a little higher and then buy back in lower the next day or so, whether I'm on live or not. So I am going to start checking in with that a little bit more, just so that I can keep increasing this account. But just to check in, my account is currently at 181 overall, and I only have $1.91 liquid in this account. So what I'm doing right now is I'm still working my butt off to bring as much money as I can in so that I can keep putting it into these accounts. But more so, I am funding my emergency fund more than I ever have. Even though I still consider myself to be a pretty risky person, I do have the plans to be out on the road soon. So I want to be doing pretty much like van or RV life, have this set up and do the same stuff, but on the road. And with that, I want to have a little bit of a runway for an income, just in case. So that is the biggest thing that I'm doing right now. Getting 3 to 6 months saved up, making sure all my insurances and protection for my money is in place, getting my remote jobs or remote income secure, and making sure that all these accounts are getting funded to a comfortable level. It's probably not going to be this account in particular. It'll more likely be my stock or my crypto accounts and my Roth IRA accounts. The things that I have more long-term growth for or hope for. This right here is more of me just making sure I keep my eyes on the charts and getting my trading skills up to where I believe they could be. So I'm going to be opening up Q&A soon at this point, when I do have more people actually watching these videos. But for now, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on Friday.